What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and tonight we are going to be doing a live video recording, so for those of you watching this afterwards, you'll be watching it on demand, of a Banlist prediction videos. Of the 26 cards I have up here to the left, these are cards that I feel are logical that could get changes, and we'll talk through them. I don't think every single one of these cards will be on the list, but I feel that there are times where there are one or two cards that could be hit in a certain deck or a certain strategy, like Fiend-Smith, Malice, or of course Risel, which could dictate some of the changes. I want to try and make this prediction list as logical as possible. I don't want to be like, free Electromite, free Pot of Greed, free it all, because that's probably not going to happen. So let's think logically as to how we can get a list that is fair and balanced. So, with that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. The first one on the list is Yugioh's classic Catapult Turtle. Now, the reason that I am suggesting this particular hit on this card is that it does facilitate an FTK. Now, I'm not saying it will guarantee to be hit, but we will probably follow suit in the way the OCG did, and they banned Catapult Turtle because you can actually utilize it in the Tachyon, I believe it's the Tachyon Galaxy strategy. I haven't played it, I haven't looked into it, I just know that it exists. Pretty much, if anyone says to me this deck has an FTK that isn't like a really janky Red Eyes build for a bit of fun, I don't really pay much attention to it. So, yeah, I'm going to be banning Catapult Turtle. I can't really imagine there's much argument to that. Like, it is an FTK enabler. They're not going to be hitting Tachyon, so yeah, we're going to rock and we're going to roll with that one. Now, the next one is Dormouse. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to hit Dormouse and they're going to hit the field spell, but if you were to hit something direct, and again, I say this for both Risel and Malice, I don't think any of their cards are going to get hit directly. I think they're going to hit generic cards that support the strategy, mainly something like a Link Decoder, or of course something along the lines of a Bonfire is going to be more logical when you're taking the hits. But I thought that if we were going to talk about particular cards, you could consider limiting something like a Dormouse or semi-limiting the field spell for the pure fact that they do get two brand new Malice cards in Alliance Insight, which come out in the end of April. So to me, if they wanted to give it a light tap, they would go semi-limit Dormouse, semi-limit one or the other, the field spell. I think if you were to limit any one of these, the more logical one would be the field spell, because you still hit one of their consistency starters, but the field spell is probably something that is a lot more easily accessible than anything else. And what I mean by that is you have Red Ransom that searches it out. You then have Terraform that can search it out. So at this moment in time, when you think about how a Malice deck lines up, they have free Rabbit, free Dormouse, free field spell, and a Terraforming. So they technically have 4 ways to a field spell, but only 3 ways to all the other monsters. So if you were to hit semi-limit as a light touch, you just go, okay, cool, well, I'll still play the Terraforming anyway. I'm not saying it will do. I still personally reckon my choices will be that they'll hit indirect support or indirect engines for it, but it's something to consider. Now, the next one, I'm going to put these side by side as well, because I think these are going to be one of the two. I don't think both of them will. I think one or the two will get hit, and that is either Moon of the Closed World or Fabled Lorry. Now, both of these have pros and cons as to what should be hit, what shouldn't be hit. If you hit Fabled Lorry, it means that Fiend-Smith tracked then becomes a technical neg1, because whatever you add and then discard, you'll add an Engraver, and then you probably, you're not going to get advantage if you discard the Engraver. Like, being able to add Fabled Lorry and discard the Fabled Lorry is just so free that it accesses the Fiend-Smith engine is crazy. But then on the flip side of that, being able to have Moon of the Closed Heavens, again, access to the Fiend-Smith engine is just so easy. So I feel one or the other would get hit. I feel that if you keep Fabled Lorry at free, it basically just, you still play free Engraver, you still play free tracked, or you could play 2 tracked or 1 tracked, however you want to do it. You'd still have consistent ways to get to the Lorry. I feel if you get rid of Moon of the Closed Heavens, it locks out and stops access to you. Just like any 2 monsters, put those 2 together, go into that, go into Requiem, and off you go. So one or the other, I think, will go. One is obviously stronger than the other. I would be amazed if they hit both. I feel that, I reckon one or the other goes. Simple as that. What about Evil Swarm Exciton Knight? Exile Knight, again, I can kind of see the argument for that because it is basically a rank 4 route. It's the exact same as Moon, but you go into Exile Knight. I feel that Exile Knight is kind of like a required evil. I don't mind it so much. Oh, I'll tell you one thing I missed on it. I would love to see Branded Fusion come back to 3. Would love to see that. But if you do that, I would love to see Sanctify Dragon getting a slap because I don't like Ido Lock. I think Ido Lock is just too... Like, I get it. It's a win con. But it's so meh. It's so like, really? Do you have to win that way? But then I suppose a lot of decks are like that. Yeah, so I think either Moon or Lorry gets banned. One or the other. I'd rather Lorry not get banned. I'd rather Moon get banned because Moon should just never exist in the first place. Like, it is basically a Verte Anaconda-esque card alongside the Crystron Halley Firebrax. It is basically a card that says, I'll give you access to the strongest engine out there. If they choose not to hit that, I think it's completely pointless hitting Tractor Engraver because it slows down the consistency a little bit, but just nowhere near as much. Keeping in mind as well, Lorry has just been reprinted, so they've already got the value out of that. Moon of the Closed Heavens could arguably be reprinted, but Moon of the Closed Heavens was a common when it first came out. So even if you reprint it as like an Ultimate Rare and an OTS pack, it's not going to be demanding huge value. No one is like, loads of people are not going to all of a sudden rush to their OTS for specifically Moon of the Closed Heavens. So I think either of these two don't have reprint value. When you're kind of looking at Tract and Engraver, both have reprint value. And I wouldn't be surprised if both of those, if not, or one of those was in Rarity Collection Stampede, to be honest. So, yeah. The next one we'll talk about, I'll tell you what, I should probably be putting these together, but I wanted to kind of spread it out so that I wasn't like picking on one deck every single time. So I quite actually don't mind spreading them out a bit. Moon and Glacier. Moon and Glacier only play at a 1. Like, again, this would be a hit that hits the Atlantean decks. I don't think... Moon and Glacier is not a fair card at all. Like... Minstrel, I don't mind. I'll let you have Minstrel, even though you get to see my entire hand. But you only banish it until the end turn and it comes back. But to do that to me and then go, cool, I've now played around one hand trap for sure, and then I'm going to Moon and Glacier and rip 2 cards from your hand permanently, that's horrible. And 99.999% of the time, if they resolve a Minstrel and rip away a Droll so that they can play freely, I don't mind that. I'll let you combo freely. But if you get to combo freely and then I only have 4 cards to break your board and your board is actually insanely powerful, that's difficult. But if you're like, here you go, you now have 6 cards to try and break my field, that's a little bit more balanced. So I don't mind that, especially if you hit Totally Awesome as well. I suppose that really does weaken the Mermall strategy. So maybe they do a 2-for-1. Maybe by hitting Totally Awesome and banning Totally Awesome, they restrict the Mermall end field. But then I feel Mermall should definitely have Moon and Glacier hit as well. They kind of need to balance it back out. Like, Mermalls are actually really, really good, and they can be played in a very nice strategy. Like, you don't have to hand rip your opponent, and you don't need to end on a Double Toad. Double Toad helps for sure so you don't get nibbed in the face, which I understand, but I also feel that you have the ability to end with a very strong field, and you could still allow your opponent to have 6 cards to play through. So, like, you can kind of consider the balance on that one. The next one is Bonfire. Now, Bonfire, I think, is probably one of the most logical hits on this entire list. Because if you hit Bonfire and limit it to 1, not only does it help sell the importance of Ascended 7th, which could be in a reprint set sometime soon, it also then enhances the need for the 7th Tachyon, which is in Maze of the Masters, which is the brand new set. So it's like, not only are we going to promote a reprint that is possibly on the cards, but we're also going to promote a brand new card that's just come out. So it's one of the ones that if you don't have your 7th Tachyon right now, go and pick them up at £40 a copy, because I guarantee if Bonfire gets hit, it's probably going to go up in price. My only disappointment with Bonfire getting hit is that it hits the consistency of the Ashen deck. And if the OCG give Ashen another Pyro that they can search, I'll be so annoyed. Because I'll be like, bro, really? You're going to give me another Pyro, which is exactly what the deck needed, that could search out, that basically can be a Bonfire target. And then you're going to go, nah, we're going to limit Bonfire. Like, that is the only argument I can see where Bonfire doesn't get hit. The only one. Triple Tactic Talents. Now, Triple Tactic Talents is a very interesting card in this particular format. And the reason I say it's an interesting card is going second, I like it. Like, going second, to be able to try to extend your hand advantage or to be able to try and take one of your opponent's monsters, I think is actually a fair point of it. the unfair part is to get to look at your opponent's hand. Because, like, going second, you're already at a bit of a disadvantage, which is why we are now playing 12 to 15 hand traps in pretty much every high-level competitive deck, which is crazy. But then to get punished for going hand trap to stop you building your field. I've got 4 cards in my hand. You go talents, look at my hand, get rid of another one. I'm then playing with 4 cards. You're technically hand ripping me like a Mooning Glacier without using Mooning Glacier. Well, that being said, you can play around talents a little bit easier. It's also a very weird one. Because there are some lists that play at 3, there's some lists that play at 2, and then there's some lists that play at 1. Some put them in the main, some put them in the side. I think if you were to semi-limit it, that wouldn't be any effect on it at all. Like, be very, very little effect. I wouldn't really care if they hit it to 2. I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. If you hit it to 1, it might make me raise an eyebrow and go, okay, that's a bit annoying. If it doesn't change, I wouldn't be so disappointed. I'd be like, okay, I mean, it's not a card that I'm screaming out for needs to be hit, but it's a card that I'm like, if you want to hit it, sure. So, honestly, I think Talents has no change in this list whatsoever, but I would not be surprised if they did. Moving on to the first Malice cards that is not in Engine cards, and that is Dimension Shifter. Now, I say Malice card when really it's not a Malice direct card, but it's still a very, very effective card for the Malice strategy. Now, there are a lot of decks out there right now that want to be playing want to use their graveyard, okay? I feel that Shifter allows Malice to balance the playing field a little bit for the pure fact that it allows them to go, right, well, I'm going to take away your graveyard. I do feel that Beastials are a bit of an issue, which we'll see a little bit later on, but that's another story. Could I see them hitting Dimension Shifter? Probably not. Would I be surprised if they did? No. Would I be surprised if they didn't? No. Do I want them to hit it? Probably yes. But then on that leveling the playing field kind of argument, that's where I'd say Shifter's kind of fair and it's kind of needed. And I feel that when you're looking at the main decks right now, like technically Blue Eyes, if they were to get shifted, can technically play under Shifter a little bit. Not insanely well, but a little bit. Ryziel can play under Shifter a little bit as well. So like, the issue is, if it was only road decks that could use Dimension Shifter, and Dimension Shifter gave those road decks a battling strategy or a fighting chance, then fair enough. But the issue is, it's getting utilised in a main meta contender. And yes, alright, I know it's a side deck card, but it's one of them ones that if you can do that and then still come back with an OTK or a way to put your opponent at such a disadvantage that they can't play, it can be a little bit degenerate. Do I think they're going to hit it? No. Would I want them to hit it? Yes. So I don't think there's going to be a change on Dimension Shifter. As sad as it is to say, I honestly don't think it changes. The next one is Fiend-Smith Tracked and Fiend-Smith Engraver. Now, Tracked needs to be either a 1 or a ban. I would be amazed if they ban this. Absolutely amazed. If they limit it, so be it. Do I think they'll limit it? Probably not. But they're only going to do one or the other. They're either going to hit Engraver or they're going to hit the Tracked. Now, I think Tracked is probably the better one to hit because then it keeps the maintain the reprint value for Engraver. So that would be, if they were to do it this way, I would go, cool, like that. But then I honestly think if you ban either one of these, you don't need to touch either one of these. So that's how I reckon it would go. If anything, you can't have Engraver at 1. If you have Engraver at 1, it kind of like kills the engine right now. It's too early to do that. So the logic would dictate you put it to 2. But if you put Engraver to 2, it's just like, really? Like, what? Like, what's that done? Like, some decks only play at 2 anyway. It hits at consistency a little bit, but then if you still have access to Moon, you don't care. So I think this is how it'd probably look more logical, one or the other. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit Tracked with one of these, but then I suppose if you hit Tracked with one of these, you probably don't care about hitting Lorry. See where I'm coming from? The next one is Dragoons. I think Dragoons is, again, I think the semi-limit of some cards is just a little bit weird right now. Yeah, so here we go. So Rez has basically said, if Moon goes and Engraver and Track to 2, everything else is fine. I would think it would be a waste to put Engraver and Track to 2 because I don't think it really does anything. If you get rid of Moon, that is enough. Get rid of Moon and straight away the entire engine goes, right, I have to hard open up Engraver or Tracked. And if you're making people play free Engraver and free Tracked, you put them in Rarity Collection 4 or you put them in any reprint set after that, like the Megatins or whatever, people will buy that set like crazy because you now need to play 3 and 3, is the way I see it. So on a financial business point of view, makes sense not to touch them. And on a competitive kind of standpoint, again, it makes sense not to hit them that hard. Like, you get rid of Moon, I think it solves most of the splashability issues. Because what I don't like about Moon is that you go normal summon, effect to search, and you go, okay, Ash. And they're like, okay, cool. Special summon and extender, effect to do something, they go imperm. You go, all right, cool. Now I know. Put both of those into Moon. Moon go into Requiem. Requiem goes into Lacrima. I don't need to worry about, like, unless you have a third hand trap. And if you have a third hand trap, that's fine. I've traded 3 cards for 3 cards. And even then, you just put Lacrima into the grave, and then you've got the Lacrima with the Paradise play. So, yeah, I think Moon goes, and it doesn't make the engine anywhere near as degenerate, in my opinion. Okay. So the next one, Atlantean Dragoons. Atlantean Dragoons is a weird one. I think if you put it at 2, does it really impact the deck that massively? Probably not. If you put it at 1, yeah, that sucks. The deck already, like, hard hurts to droll. So you're kind of just, like, not making life that much more difficult for them. So to me, I don't think Dragoon gets hit. For me, for Mermalls, to be fair, you hit Moon and Glacier, you leave Dragoons, and I don't really mind you leaving the Neptibus alone. Like, if you wanted to do that and hit Moon and Glacier, I'm like, right, okay, cool, I don't need to worry about being hand ripped. That's fine. I suppose if you also hit Toad as well, I'm like, yeah, Mermalls are not a big threat anymore. Mermalls, I would then be happy to face Mermalls and play Mermalls and be like, yeah, that's cool. Your deck is now no longer hand rip and then try and break my double Toad board. It's now no longer hand rip, try and break my double Toad board. Like, that's kind of okay. So that's what I would look at. We're getting a lot of questions about Toad. So what about limiting Toad? And then Rez says Toad needs to go, nothing less. I completely agree. Limiting Toad, the issue right now is that in the Yugioh strategy, Toad is only used at 1. So if you limit it, nothing changes for that. All it does is it hurts the Ice Barrier decks. It hurts the decks that go into Sharks. It hurts the decks that go into Mermalls. So again, it's one of them ones that will be a casualty of meta decks. It was still an incredibly powerful card to this day. And remember, Totally Awesome came out in Invasion Venom, which was, and I'll get the exact date on this one, because I remember Invasion Venom being such a sick set. Invasion Venom Yu-Gi-Oh! Set. I think it was like 2017, wasn't it? It's a booster pack that introduced new cards, blah, 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 blah. When did it come out? Was released in November. It doesn't tell me the year. Come on. Where are you? 2016, and that was the special edition. Jesus, September 2016. That's wild. Yeah, like Toad, I think it's still a little bit early to hit Toad. So I honestly think on this list, Toad doesn't get hit. But if Toad was to get banned, I wouldn't be shocked. And again, remember as well, Toad was just in Rarity Collection 3, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if it was. Wouldn't be shocked. Alexander, you're getting ahead of yourself. You said, what about semi-limiting Crossout? I'll talk about that in a second. Nightmare Griffin. Now, Nightmare Griffin is another one of them cards that kind of comes in and out of formats. It's not one that is an absolute mainstay in certain decks. I say certain decks, mainly in Malice right now. It's one of the ones that some people might shift to, depending on what they have access to. But a lot of decks don't even need to go into it. It's one of them ones that if you ban it, most people will go, oh, well. Oh, no. Anyway, and then carry on as their normal day. Like, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So, yeah, I personally feel that if it got banned, I don't think anyone would really care that much. And if it didn't get hit, I think more people would probably lean into it. Nightmare Griffin is one of them, I say lazy cards. It's one of them cards that a lot of people go, right, we're in this grey area. I don't know where to take this right now, but I can make Nightmare Griffin. So they make Nightmare Griffin as a stopgap. So I wouldn't be shocked if it stayed, and I wouldn't be fussed if it went. Like, it's kind of just one of them. It's like, all right, cool, let's rock with it. So I personally feel that Griffin doesn't change, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does get banned. Like, I don't really mind. I don't think we're going to see all these bans, by the way. I reckon we'll see an FTK ban, possibly see one of this banned, and then I think you're going to see one or the other of this, in my opinion. Stay hydrated. Right. Masterpiece. Now, Masterpiece, I think, is like a wishful, like a proper wishful one. It's been confirmed in Rarity Collection Stampede. So a lot of people will probably go, it could come back in that one. Honestly, I don't think it will. But if they wanted to be Spice, I would love to see it come back in here. I really would. Now, could you abuse it in the Odeon deck? I suppose you could, actually. Oh my god, Masterpiece and Odeon deck. That'd be funny. That'd actually be really funny. But yeah, if Masterpiece was to come back, I think you could very easily see Masterpiece come back to 3. I wouldn't be... sorry, at least 1. I can't recall, and I could be wrong on this one, I can't recall any card that Konami has brought back from ban to 3. I think they usually go, here's 1 or 2, and then do 3 like on the next list, which kind of works. So, just going to quickly catch back up on the chat. So, Heat Haze Gaming. This is unrelated, but would you do Blue Eyes Dragon Link? It would be interesting. I've tried to look into it. I haven't looked into it as much as I could have done because I've still got a couple of Blue Eyes strategies on the back burner right now that I'm currently working on. I know, because like, what would you do right now? You would go, what kind of makes it Dragon Link? Because to me, do you go with Black Metal Dragon, turn that into the Blue Eyes Link 1. So you're basically replacing Striker Dragon with the Blue Eyes Link 1, right? And then you would go, what would you work your way into? You then still have the ability to search out Red MD. Red MD can then summon itself by banishing the Black Metal Dragon. Like, you can make it work. I'm not saying that it's not a workable strategy. I'm just trying to think, like, the best way off the top of my head where you would take it. It's definitely doable. I just haven't looked into it as much depth as I would like to. Jam the Lad. It honestly upsets me if a card like Crossout gets hit. I couldn't agree more with you, Jam. I was just waiting to get to Crossout for that one. It's like when they nerfed Prosperity. Really hurts rogue strategies. Basically killed Shining Sark after the ban because of Bell and Snake Eyes. Same with Allure of Darkness. Malice abusing it means decks like Dark Magician suffer the most. And Branded. I completely agree. The funny thing with Crossout is I know some players that just don't like it, which I understand. Some people just don't like cards. Certain cards, that is. Not like cards in general. I actually really like Crossout, and I put it in a lot of my decks because a lot of people don't expect it, and then when they get hit with a Crossout, they're like, what the hell just happened? So I like Crossout, but I know people don't like it. So it's one of the ones that if it gets hit, again, quite a few people will be like, oh no! Anyway, but I honestly think that it's a necessary evil. Like, it's a necessary card. It needs to be played. But I'll talk more about that later on. Gerard Freemisk. David Hawks, just on a personal level, I'd love to see number 95 Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter come back. The artwork for me looks incredible. I'm trying to remember why that got banned. Was that banned for an FTK? Yugioh number 95. I can't remember what it did. You can also XYZ by using Galaxy XYZ. You control as material. When this card is XYZ summoned, you get to send 3 Dragon type monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard. Your opponent banishes 3 monsters from their deck. You can detach 1 material from this card. This card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. That's kind of cool. Is it still degenerate now? I don't know. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong. I'm trying to think. Like, I wouldn't like the idea. Like, you wouldn't play that against a Malice player because they just go, okay, cool, thanks, bro. Boof, 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 and get effects of it. But, you know. Alexandros, dear Zeph, I'm trying to make a Blue Eyes Tenpai. What's your opinion on that? Consider I also have Primite and Beastial to use. I've actually done a Tenpai, Blue Eyes Tenpai video on the channel, so if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. But I think it's so good. So good. I really like it because it kind of gives Tenpai the ability of going first. Like, you either play a Tenpai deck that has all field breakers and you go second, or you play it with hand traps, which gives you a bit more of a balance for going first. But if you play it with Blue Eyes, what I really liked about it is you make Tyrant Dragon off the Blue Eyes. So going second, you make Tyrant, you clear off all your opponent's monsters, and then your Tenpais just go in for the game. Like, it's insane. And then going first, you just go full Blue Eyes combo, which really does catch your opponent off guard. Because then even if they pick your field apart, you go, okay, cool. Normal summoned Chandra or Kaiman during the battle phase, and you still get the OTK outcome. Like, I really like that hybrid. It's like one of my favourite. I think right now, for me, it goes Blue Eyes Invoked, Blue Eyes Centurion. I actually quite enjoyed Centurion version. I don't think it's better than the Synchro version I did, but I actually quite enjoyed it. So for me, what I enjoyed the most, it goes Invoked, Centurion, and then Tenpai. That's kind of like how I rank them with how I enjoy it. Not saying that's the best of how they play. Like, I think logically it would go Blue Eyes Primite is the best version, and then after that it's kind of subjective. But for me, the ones that I enjoy them playing the most is Invoke, Centurion, and then Tenpai. Coach chat, do you think after the supports that will come out with the new expansion, Sky Striker will return to meta? I think Sky Striker is... The issue with Sky Striker is their new support needs to be absolutely insane. I think they're a little bit past it, but I could be wrong. Nathaniel the Nerd, Caesar doesn't need a hit if Fiend-Smith engine is now only can be played in a Fiend-based deck. I agree. When you hit Closed Moon and if you hit Lorry, it hinders it further. I agree, which is why... We'll talk about that in a second. It's... Like I said at the start, this list will not be everything. I don't expect everything on this list to be hit. I expect that they will choose one or the other. Dark Matter is not coming back. It's a shame. I can see why it wouldn't come back, but I wouldn't, you know. I like Crossout in all my road decks. It helps so much. I completely agree. When I play a deck that I know auto loses to a Nibiru, it's quite nice to have a Crossout designator. Alexandros, thank you very much. I will go and check it out. That was my idea as well. I'm so glad I found your channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Right, back to the ban list. I say ban list. Forbidden and limited list. I get told off for calling it ban list. I need to change it to forbidden limited list. What's this called again? Summon Sorcerer. Summon Sorcerer could very easily come back to 1. Now, this would be post... I reckon it's... has it been confirmed? I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed for Rarity Collection 4 Stampede. Pretty sure it has. So I can see this coming back. Like, they bring it back, and then they definitely put this back to 1. Like, no doubt about this. Because that's where they give the errata, they bring this card back. Like, I can see this coming back to 1, and then they might even jump it and put it back to 3. One of my top fave YouTubers. Thank you very much, Nathaniel. A link to that adds engage. I really don't remember how it's written. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I've seen both of them. They've got a spell and a link too, but I haven't really read into them as much yet. DDD High Wave King Caesar. Now, with Caesar, Nathaniel pointed this out. It doesn't need hit. I completely agree. If they hit Moon, this card stays free. That is my opinion. If they don't, and I actually don't mind it staying free, because I quite like the ability that when you make Fiend-Smith accessible for everyone, that everyone now gets access to a nib check card. Everyone gets the ability to go, do you have nib? No? Okay, I'm making Caesar just in case you do. Like, that's where I like it. Kishu has confirmed that Summon Sork has been confirmed as a reprint with the errata. So if it comes back to 1 or 3, I wouldn't be surprised. Slap the striker cards in Orcust, with Orcust also getting support soon. That'll be a really nice deck to play. Yeah, cool. Psychic, do you think any Yubel changes? Phantom, maybe. Literally just want your opinion on it. I don't think there'll be any Yubel changes. I think they're kind of happy where Yubel is right now. Having Phantom at 2 doesn't make any difference because very few people are playing it at 3. So if you put it at 2, you're basically putting it back to the way it was. I would like to see... I mean, I still like Yubel. And I think Phantom balances the deck back out. It kind of makes it not being a degenerate. But, you know, I kind of... I would love it to have Phantom at 2, but then I've both faced Yubel and played Yubel. I know how crazy difficult that deck was to kind of deal with. So I'm quite happy with it being at 1. It kind of keeps it balanced and level. I wouldn't want to see any more hits on it. I think I'm happy where it's at. That's my opinion. Adam says, it's crazy how in 2025 Catapult Turtle is considered to be a nuclear threat. I agree. I thought it was crazy when someone, because like OCG banned Catapult Turtle like 2 lists ago, and a lot of people instantly, I was like, what? Why the hell have they banned Catapult Turtle? And then straight away someone said FTK, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. I used to stomp locals with Yubel Fiend-Smith last year. I'm still using it. Yeah, I would. The only reason I've stopped using Yubel is I moved on to Malice to be my main competitive deck. And then I've moved on from Malice to be Blue Eyes just because I like the way the deck plays. I just think it's so much more fun. So much more fun. Why do most people list not have Prank Kids Mew? I knew someone was going to bring this up. I would absolutely love Prank Kids Mew to come back to 1. Would absolutely love it. The reason I haven't got it on this list is because I know a lot of people had considered it. And I tried to think if it was a logical return or not. Because could I see it coming back? Yes. But Konami are very, very stingent in their way of... They never really let a deck come back fully. I mean, Thunder Dragons has probably come back. Like, that's probably now back to max. But Electromite isn't. Which means that obviously Pendulums aren't. And then... I don't know, it's just a really tricky one. I feel that Konami kind of... They kind of... I don't know if they know. I don't know. If you brought back Mew, does Prank Kids instantly become that high level again? It's a very interesting one. I'm always fascinated by Lithium's cross Banlist video content, because the cross Banlist content is actually really, really fun to see. Because you always do have that question of, what if this was at full power versus this? And I think it's always difficult because you get different hand traps that come out that kind of make it a little bit more balanced. My hope is for either Meow Mew to 1 or Electromite to 1. I don't think Electromite's coming to 1. I would like Meow Mew to come back to 1. I just don't think it's going to happen. That's my honest take on it. Do I think Branded Fusion will still be limited to 1? I would love Branded Fusion to come back to 3 if they hit Sanctified Dragon. I do not like Branded Fusion being an IDO lock dot deck. Like, I just don't think... No deck should be lock dot deck. It should be so much more fun than that. Like, you should be able to play rather than going, cool, I got given IDO, guess can't do anything. So... Striker can see results if an amazing player like Ryan Yu, as an example, but will mainly see wins at regionals, OTS events, but can maybe top some Nats, but can't see it having a good enough push to win major events as of yet. It will be sad if Moon gets banned. I play in Tri Brigade Fire King. Nice. I want to try and get through this list because I'm nearly, I don't know how long I've been recording. Let me have a look. 31 minutes. All right, we'll try and get rid of the list and then I can catch back up with the chats. Beastial Magnamu, no surprise on this one. I think a Beastial needs to get hit. Like, Magnamu is the worst one to see against you. If they see Druid Swarm, I go, okay, that's fine. You Druid Swarm my card. I have to play around it a little bit. I don't want Druid Swarm going to the graveyard. That's fine. It makes me think a little bit. What I don't like is I don't like them getting the one of Beastial Magnamu and then know it's going to lead them to a Druid Swarm the next turn. The only caveat I see with this is Konami will either wait until Stampede is released and then do a ban list afterwards, or they will do the ban list before and then enhance the sales of Stampede. And the reason I say that is I honestly think that they could put Druid Swarm as a quarter century. Like, they could put Druid Swarm, Lubellion, Balldrake, and Saronir, and even Magnamu if they wanted to, all in Stampede. If they release the whole list of Stampede and all of the Bestials are in there except Magnamut, I would bet a bottom dollar that Magnamut gets banned. That would be my instant gut feeling. Allure of Darkness, I think Allure of Darkness, honestly, I think on the list, Allure of Darkness doesn't have any change. But if Konami wanted to indirectly hit Malice, you could probably see them putting Allure of Darkness to maybe 1, quite like Bonfire. And what I'm saying about that is Bonfire is probably the same level of hit as Allure of Darkness is for Malice. You probably go, okay, cool, Allure goes to 1, you then just invest more into the Malice cards. So, X Ryziel, I honestly think this list is too soon for a direct hit to Ryziel. But in my opinion, if any Ryziel was to get hit, it would be this card right here. And I would put it to 1. But I honestly don't think this is going to get hit at all. I think that they're going to hit Banlist. They're going to hit Bonfire, increases the sales of Ascended 7 and 7th Tachyon. And then on the next list, they hit EX'd. The exact same with Ice Ryziel. I think you could probably get away with putting Ice Ryziel to 2. But then if you put Ice Ryziel to 2, you're not going to want to hit Bonfire. Because then you take away them having 6 copies of Ice Ryziel to having 3. So, again, I don't think Ice gets hit. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Crossout Designator, I don't want this to change. I honestly don't want it to change at all. I would be amazed if they do, because then what Konami... I mean, I get it, because they basically say, we want you to be able to play going second. Like, no one wants to be going first, trying to do a combo, and then they go Nibiru, and then they get to instantly respond with Crossout Designator. The only caveat that the going second player gets is the fact that they get to trade 1 for 1. They trade 1 card for another. Like, that's kind of how I see it, but I honestly feel that Crossout Designator is a necessary card. Like, I want to protect my combos in my rogue decks. I sometimes want to protect my combos in my main decks, and I feel that the better players can technically kind of play around Crossout as well. or can play through 1 or 2, or don't need to rely on Crossout. And in the main meta decks, you don't need to rely on Crossout. Crossout should be reserved for mainly the rogue decks, and I think that's kind of what is needed. Abyss Dweller. Now, Abyss Dweller is actually a really interesting one, because Abyss Dweller would be another one of them cards that is a casualty because of the main meta decks playing them. And what I mean by that is, right now, Risel can make Abyss Dweller. When Risel make Abyss Dweller, it gives them an automatic win con against the against certain strategies, against like the Mermall strategy. So it's one of the ones that if they banned it, they're really directly hurting Risel. But then it also hurts other decks that need to make it. I wouldn't be surprised if it did get banned. I would be disappointed if it got banned, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got banned. So, Miscellaneous, I would love this to come back to free. I would absolutely love this to come back to free. I don't think dinos are that broken. I honestly don't. Like, I love dinos. I think dinos are really, really good. And I would love Dino to get this back to free. I think it'd also be very, very cool to get Misk back to free, because don't we also have brand new Evil Swords coming out? Is it Evil Swords or Jirax? We've got brand new Jirax coming out, haven't we? Let me just double check this one. So, Yugioh Jirax. I'm pretty sure we've got brand new Jirax coming out. Yeah, we do. Because we've got the brand new Meteor. Because everyone went crazy for the Meteor, and it comes in like a side set, I believe. I can't remember exactly what set it is off the top of my head, but I would love Mist to come back to free. Absolutely love it to come back to free, because then it kind of works out from there. Now, the Link Decoder, I think Link Decoder is kind of another one of them ones that, now, this is a one that you can't do anything apart from ban it. It would have to be banned. I honestly don't think it's going to get banned. Like, in my honest opinion, it doesn't get banned. It's either banned or not. But I feel that if you were to say, now let's just have a look at this complete list, right? Let's go with the most logic, because I think all of this is going to be a little bit too much. So screen grab this. This is my prediction list. This is the list of that I think is the most logic, bar 1 or 2 cards. And I'll talk about that in a second. So I reckon Konami don't hit Tracked. I reckon they don't hit this. I reckon they don't hit this. I reckon they ban Moon or Lorry. And I reckon they maybe don't ban Griffin and maybe don't ban Toad. So if this happened, I would not be shocked, because all of these are semi-logical to me. So in my opinion, those are all semi-logical hits. Now what I mean by that, FTK goes. This or Lorry something needs to happen to the Fiend-Smith engine. Something needs to happen. Moon and Glacier is the most degenerate option in the Mermall strategy. Toad is fair. I don't mind them having Toad. The issue with Toad right now is the Risel. But then when you look at it, most people that are playing ways to out Risels, they're playing cards that also out Toad. So it doesn't really change your strategy so much. So I wouldn't be opposed to them having it. Beastial Magnamut. I just feel that Magnamut is such a sacky top deck, or such a sacky card to have in the opening hand of 5. And then it leads you to Druid Swarm. I suppose it's a bit of a downside if I'm getting hit with the Druid Swarm or the Magnamut. But then I also think it makes sense that going second, you want to be able to give them as much advantage as possible. So it's kind of like one of them ones of give or take. I know a lot of people, so David has made this point, and so has Rez. So David says, I could see Konami limiting to 1, both Druid Swarm and Magnamut. So Magnamut's obviously already at 1, but if they hit Druid Swarm to 1 as well, kind of slows it down. But then I feel that lists that are playing the Beastials at a smaller package, they would only play 1 and 1 anyway. Mag at 1 and put Druid to 1, in my opinion, that's fair. Would hate if Mag gets banned. It's one of them ones that Mag is great if it's searching you out a dragon for your dragon deck. If it's just being utilised, which it currently is in the meta scenario to search you out Druid Swarm, it's like, bruh, really? I've got to deal with 2 level 6 dragons that as soon as they get the Druid Swarm to the field, they've got 2 monsters on the field without even needing to use normal summon, link them off into something like an SP, and then straight away that Druid Swarm will send one of my cards. So it's a give and take. I feel that if Mag gets banned, that would be the strongest hit. If Druid Swarm went to 1, it's kind of like a, oh no, anyway moment, is what I'm kind of getting at. Spiros, I got back to Yugioh in 2023, so I have no idea regarding competitive Yu-Gi-Oh history. Why were prank kids so broken back in the day? So prank kids were broken. It's more so basically link 1s. If any specific deck got given a link 1 That's kind of what made it broken. And what Prankids were missing back in the original day is that they had the ability that you needed to normal summon a Prankid, but then you needed the ability to extend to get a second Prankid to the field, which meant you needed a fusion spell. When they introduced the Meow, what it allowed them to do is go normal summon Prankid, link a Prankid off, get a second Prankid, and then link off. So it allowed you basically turned what was intentionally like a 2 to 3 card combo became a 1 card combo. That's kind of what happened with them, which is what made them a little bit broken. So, I mean, the Link 1 was probably one of the first times in all of Yu-Gi-Oh history where the deck was screaming out for a Link 1. The Link 1 was like, we need a Link 1, we need a Link 1. They got it, and then straight away it went from straight up to like high level meta contender. Unless you're Dinkabooey, and then it was already competitive deck. Adam says, I think Risel will be hit way harder. After a month or two after Insight, and people complain more about the star Risel plays. I mean, it could possibly happen. I think that they could possibly hit Risel harder. But I do feel that Risel still maintain reprint value. And I feel that what you need to do in Risel is you need to straight away go to them, right, you can't allow them to play the Fiend-Smith engine, right? You need to really limit that access to it. Yes, of course, they then shift to the Tachyon engine. And if they were to shift to the Tachyon engine, you then get rid of Toad. So if they wanted to hit them harder without hitting the Risels to maintain their reprint value, you hit Toad and you hit Moon. And then straight away, the generic access that the deck has completely goes, in my opinion. Cool by to 2. I would love it to happen. I highly doubt it's going to happen. Dweller has been a problem with a few different meta decks, so ban it is up on the point. Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I was going to mention about Dweller. Like, it's one of the ones that kind of dips in and out of the format. So if a deck likes to use it graveyard and wants to use a graveyard, straight away you have to use it. You have to kind of use it. But then I also feel that it's kind of a necessary evil. But then I suppose if a deck is already strong enough to make a Beast Dweller and is already doing well enough as it is, and you make a Beast Dweller, you know, it's kind of a 50-50 in it. Agreed, Crossout should be where it is. There's a huge 50-50 aspect to it, since you have to cut a significant portion of your deck and potentially brick in the set just for running it. I completely agree. Yeah, like, I think it's also the caveat. Like, Call by the Grave, the downside is it couldn't hit stuff like Nibiru and it couldn't hit stuff like Imperm. I like the fact that Crossout lets you hit any card, because then it kind of made that the ability of, I don't auto-lose to a Nib, or I don't auto-lose to an Imperm. Dweller is so tricky. Blind Dweller is such an unfair advantage towards most rogue decks, or any deck that gets advantage off the grave, but I don't want to get dragged down to Bikini Bottom by Mermall. So this is what I'm saying. I would accept an Abyss Dweller ban if the Mooning Glacier gets banned. If they were to ban Abyss Dweller and not touch anything in the Mermall strategy, I'd be really disappointed. Because, like I said, Mermalls don't frighten me, and I don't mind them as a combo deck. I think it's actually a really, really good, fun, and strong deck. What I don't like about Mermalls is the hand rip part of it. I don't mind you Minstrel, because I like Minstrel being a nice defensive option. Like, if I open up Nibiru, Ash Blossom, and Droll, and you Minstrel me, you get rid of Droll without a shadow of a doubt, and then you still need to play around Nibiru and Droll. And Minstrel is a much more fair version of Triple Tactic, because you get the card back. My issue is, if you hand rip me for 1, you already know what card I've got. That hand trap is then going to be useless to me anyway the next turn. And then you're going to take away 2 more of my cards, which is unfair. So, ban Mooning Glacier. I don't mind you banning Dweller. So, this is my most logical outcome. This is the one that I feel, if they don't make the right changes on the list, these are the ones that should happen to kind of limit everything back down. And these are the ones that if I'm trying to look at it from I'm not trying to look at it from a player's perspective. I'm not trying to look at it from a Konami's perspective. I'm trying to look at it from everyone's perspective. So to me, as a player, if you were to hit these cards here, up the top, and these 2 here, I would be like, understandable. I get why you've done that. If I'm Konami, and I go, I want to hit cards that have just been reprinted or no longer have reprint value, I don't mind hitting these either. These have all just had recent reprints, apart from Magnamoot, but it's already at 1 anyway, and the Mooning Glacier. If I hit all of these, I don't affect any of my reprint value. If I hit X'd, Ice, Dormouse, Underground, Tracked, or even Engraver, I then limit my resell, like my reprint viability later on. So, What about Meow Meow Mew? How are you feeling about it peeling off to 1 or 2? I think I would want it back. If it was to come back at anything, it would have to come back at 1. I think 1 is fine. I don't think they're going to bring it back, which is why it's not on this list. I would be amazed if they did, because it's very rare, apart from when they did Thunder Dragon Colossus, and even then, Thunder Dragon Colossus took, what, like 6 years? 6 years to come back on the list? Whereas Mew is still, Mew's what, 2022, I think? What I mean by that is I don't think it's on Konami's radar. Now, if there was to be new Pranked support coming out in the future, then it would definitely, like, if we had a leak tomorrow that said there is possible new Prankeds, then I'd be like, right, on the next list, Meow Mew's coming back. Or maybe on the next list after that. I think it's one that could come back in the future. I would not be disappointed if it did come back, because I'd be able to dust off Prankeds, and I'd actually be really fun to play Prankeds again. But I just don't think it's happening. Salvo, Eclipse Twins to be banned. I don't think Eclipse Twins get banned. Way too new. Way too new. And it hasn't even really had a chance to be utilised. Like, it's only being abused in the Risel strategy. And more times than not, it take like the caliber of player that is utilising Eclipse Twins, they're obviously at the top end, because then they make sure they've got the targets that they can successfully bring back. The amount of times I see people sending it to the graveyard and then not putting a target into the graveyard to utilise, it's pretty crazy. Fagimi says, unban Halley Firebrax and kick Kalos. Never happening. Actually, Firebrax can come back, but it has to say using it has to be errated to only be allowed to use a Crystron tuner, or only be allowed to summon a Crystron tuner. It has to have some sort of restriction on it. Like, only be able to synchro summon the entire the turn after you activate its effect. Like, it has to have some precautions, because otherwise you just go, okay, cool, going to SP Little Knight. You're like, not so great. Anyway, this is it for my prediction Banlist video. Thank you to every single one of you in the chat that's helped me with this. I'm going to stay online for like another 10 to 15 minutes. And then we'll talk about a little bit more. So if you do have any questions at all, by all means, put them in the live chat. We'll talk about them back and forth right now. We will theory craft over any changes to the list and anything like that. But I'm going to end the recording so that the record is not like crazy long. And then I can edit it, put it up and kind of work it through there. So anyone that is watching the pre-record, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. But until next time, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.